Elon Musk bought Twitter.
Yeah.
So many thoughts on so many things. Good to see you guys. Happy Tuesday with news. We do have a lot of news today, actually. A lot of actual breaking news, beginning with the Spider-Verse. We must always begin in the Spider-Verse. We're going to end up there eventually anyway, so may as well start out there.
We're there now, Christy.
We have always been there. Have we ever not been there? We got the Spider-Verse coming. We got Jerry West. We got some box office. But this week's movie house shout out, I'm excited to tell you about this, is the Lumiere Cinema at the Music Hall. This is a really cool story. So they have been there on Worcester Boulevard in Beverly Hills for almost a century. In 1936, they opened as the Elite Theater. They were part of the Laemmle Art House chain for a long time. And then when Laemmle announced that they were going to sell the music hall, 3 longtime employees, Luis Ariana, Lauren Brown, and Peter Ambrosio, got together and bought it.
Yes.
How cool is that? Like, isn't that every film lover's dream? Like, I want to buy a movie theater and play what I want.
That's a Frank Capra movie.
It is, because they did this in November 2019.
Yes.
And we all know what happened a few months later. So then they were just getting off the ground, and they had to close for about a year. But they are showing new stuff. Like right now, they've got Duel and X. If you are in LA, you're visiting LA, you can play catch up with stuff like Drive My Car and The Worst Person in the World. And then they do repertory things as well. They're showing Michael Mann's Miami Vice on May 6th.
Okay.
So although they are in a very schmancy part of LA, they are in Beverly Hills. They are literally across the street from the Academy.
Yes, and around the corner from the Writers Guild.
Right. They're like smack in the heart of it, but they could use your support, as so many of these theaters could, because they were all closed for a while. So we'll put a link down below to how to find the fine folks at Lumiere Cinema at the Music Hall. I recall going there in the early 90s to see Damage with Jeremy Irons. That kind of messed me up.
Yeah, I saw some really kind of notorious cult films there, like Dangerous Men and Surfer Teen Confronts Fear. And I know that they were also very active in the whole sort of virtual cinema thing during the early part of the pandemic. So I'm glad they're still there, and they need your support.
Indeed. So thanks a lot for that. CinemaCon is going on in Las Vegas. Always a fun place to see little bits and pieces of stuff that's coming soon. They showed early bits of the new Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It is called Across the Spider-Verse.
Yes.
They showed 15 minutes of it.
Julie Taymor's Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, Miller and Lord producing this again, and they believe they wrote the script. That's coming out. It's been pushed to June of 2023, and then they announced that the 3rd movie in this series will be called Beyond the Spider-Verse, right? Because you were into it.
Yes.
And then now you're going across it, and eventually it'll be beyond it. Doctor Strange, a new Doctor Strange teaser. We'll have an early review of that for you guys next Tuesday. In this Doctor Strange teaser, we see that he meets the Illuminati.
Like the conspiracy Illuminati, or is this something else in Marvel Comics? I guess
it's a Marvel thing. You're the expert of the two of us here.
Well, heaven help us, because I don't know what that is, but I will learn when we see the movie, I suppose.
Yes. Also, apparently, you know how Saudi Arabia was asking that Disney cut any kind of gay content from the new Doctor Strange.
Yes.
That is not necessarily going to happen. Disney has not agreed to do that. So
yes, apparently there's one line with a character who says, "I have 2 moms." So I'm figuring if Disney stands their ground and they don't cut it from Saudi Arabia, Saudi Arabian theaters will hire someone with an air horn to just go during that 7 seconds, and
But she's a lesbian character herself.
Oh, is she? Okay.
America Chavez.
I have not picked up a comic book in like decades, so I'm behind on this. Excellent. Great.
We have more news for you on the whole HBO Winning Time Jerry West thing. We told you last week about how Lakers legend, former Lakers player, coach, GM Jerry West, he's the inspiration for the NBA logo, you guys. When you see the NBA logo, that is his silhouette. This is how important he is to the sport. He demanded that the folks behind Winning Time, including Adam McKay and HBO, do a retraction, because he is depicted as being so volatile and so just not who he believes himself to be and who people close to him believe him to be. HBO today was like, nah. They put out a statement to the Hollywood Reporter saying, this is a dramatization and we have researched this thoroughly and we feel really good about this.
I think it is safe to say that any of these kind of movies, especially when they're coming from something like HBO, have gone through legal. Which is not to say that they're right or they're true or that Jerry doesn't have a point, but I think that lawyers along the way have been like, well, yes, you can say this, and you're not going to be exposing Time Warner, Discovery, AT&T, Scheinhardt wigs to litigation or whatever. So I'm sure they have made sure their ducks were in a row before they ever broadcast the thing, which is not to say they're doing right by the real life person, but that they can do what they did,
that they can, and that they don't feel any kind of remorse. There's no like softening of language, like, we sympathize. It's just like, sorry, dude, it's art.
Well, yeah. When you come at a corporation, they're going to be like, oh, you're right, you got us. Like, of course they're going to be like, and so you really have to back them into a corner for anybody to acknowledge any kind of wrongdoing.
Elon Musk bought Twitter.
Yeah.
For $45-ish billion, give or take a buck here or there. I see that there are mass departures, or people at least threatening to leave and saying, you can find me here instead. Also, a bunch of folks lost followers yesterday, myself included. And there was, I lost about 30 people. I don't really check, but I noticed, I'm like, oh yeah, this seems lower. But some people who have huge followings lost thousands of people. This is apparently not related to Elon Musk buying Twitter. I guess he's not that fast, but anyway, what do you think about this? Does this matter to you as a Twitter consumer?
Look, he's a thin-skinned baby, which, surprise, surprise. I admit, I sort of thought about it, and then, Dave said, you're still on Facebook. And it's like, well, yeah, okay, that is also owned by a creepy millionaire. So like, there's no purity here. And billionaire, yes, it took me a long time to amass the number of followers that I have, and I have podcasts and shit that I need to promote on it. So I'm staying, but I'm keeping an eye open to what goes on.
I mean, same, for all the same reasons. And I do want to see the good in Twitter. Like, I do want to see it, it's a hellscape, whatever, but like, I do want to see the possibility for good in connecting with people. And anyway, that can be done. Maybe I'm being Pollyanna-ish about that. So that's it. Quick little box office update for you. The #1 movie this past weekend was The Bad Guys, which I have seen. I had to review it for Ebert. It's funny, it's like an animated version of Elmore Leonard or Quentin Tarantino. It's like a bunch of wisecracking, snarky animals who pull off a heist. But The Northman, which we loved, made just about $12 million, which is, in some people's eyes, considered not great because it cost like $90 million to make. But I think for a really challenging, extremely hard art house movie, that's pretty good. There's some new news on the Rust shooting, the shooting that resulted in the death of cinematographer Helena Hutchins. The sheriff's department in New Mexico, where the shooting occurred on the set of this Western, they released a bunch of video and a bunch of transcripts. I don't know why now, but there's some really startling like body cam video from the deputies who were on set that day responding. And also you see the video of Alec Baldwin learning that Helena Hutchins had been shot to death, that she had died. Dear. Oh, it's startling as hell. He's shocked. It's very dramatic. So that is out there. A number of different websites have it. The LA Times has it. We can post a link to that. And then Viola Davis thinks that critics, and I want to get this quote right, critics absolutely serve no purpose, she says. Apparently she got some negative reviews for her portrayal of Michelle Obama in this Showtime series about various first ladies. And, she's, of course, one of our greatest actresses. Ever, perhaps. I mean, definitely working today. And it's just so funny how thin-skinned that makes her sound. It's really strange.
Well, and I've already seen some interpretations that, she was talking about people on Twitter saying mean things, and maybe she was,
Is that it? Okay.
I would like to think so, because I would like to think also that, critics have been pretty kind to her she has deserved our kindness, but I think we've been very appreciative of the work that she has done. And I think that it's kind of like, I just started reading Antkind, the Charlie Kaufman novel, and it also sort of is kind of ragging on film critics. I'm like, y'all do the kind of projects that sort of wouldn't get out in the world as much if it weren't for Film Critics championing them. I mean, like, apart from Suicide Squad, Viola Davis is not exactly like just, doing franchise movies and IP stuff. She's doing, the kind of things that critics champion and bring to an audience and sort of spotlight. And so I'm hoping she just means random cranky boots on social media and not actual critics. And if she does mean actual critics, well, I mean, there's nothing I can do about that either.
Right. Which brings us back to Twitter being a hell site.
But it can be nice. Like you said, I think there is the possibility of genuine connection, and I learn things on Twitter all the time. But, at the same time, yeah, it can be the worst depending on how it's all, who you're listening to and how it follows. I block a lot.
But if you guys found us on Twitter, we're really happy to see you.
Yay!